Okay, so here we are. Just received our Evansport two-person nano infrared sauna. Got delivered late last night, and so we finally just got it moved downstairs to the basement. This, unfortunately, is our second one. The first one was damaged. When we got the box, there was a big gouge. Thought maybe it was superficial, but unfortunately, there was a big dent in the front panel right there, so we had to return it. And finally got the new one, and as you can see, moved downstairs, all taken out of the box. There was two boxes, about 300 pounds, a little bit under 300 pounds altogether. Looks pretty simple to put together. There is the side panels, the front door, the back panel. That's going to be the top panel. The base is behind it, and the components, the stereo, the box of accessories, which is the screws, and then the air purifier. So this is it. We're going to start to assemble it and see how easy or not so easy it is. Okay. Okay, this is the area we're going to install our sauna. We just recently moved into the house, probably about 6 months ago. We had this tiny little room, didn't know what to do. So we decided to put our sauna in here. As you can see, there's plenty of outlets. The instructions say to make sure that the back panel is near and accessible to an outlet. Also, just want to make sure that the floor is level. It's okay if it's carpeted as long as it's dry and level. Okay, so we got the base laid down where we probably are going to put it. I'm going to keep it away from the wall so that we can install these panels on the bottom here, and then also be able to access these buckles from the back. Once we've got the walls up, we'll be able to push it back closer to the wall. Okay, so this is the back panel. And we're just going to sit it on the platform. It just sits right on the lip. And then we're going to start to put the sides on and buckle them in. Okay, not much room back here, but you can see where the walls are going to line up. And then they'll just buckle in right up at the top, in the middle, and then one way at the bottom. Okay, this is what it looks like with the two side walls, the back wall put in, and literally it took 1 minute to set them on the bottom and snap the three clasps that are on the sides. Okay, now the bench heater. That's going to be the front of the bench where your feet will hang over, and it's going to go right in to these two slots on either side, and we're going to place that in there carefully without scratching the sides of the sauna. Okay, so now we're just going to plug in the bench heater before we put the top on. Okay, we've got the bench panel installed, and then we had this last panel, which is right on the floor right here, was not labeled, and it was not clear in the instructions where this panel was to be installed. But after looking thoroughly over the sauna, realizing there was a second outlet connected behind the bench, we realized that it was a floor heater, and so it just sits right there. There are some pilot holes for you to attach it to the floor so that it's not moving around once everything's assembled. We're going to move on to the handles next, so that we can open and close the glass door while we get in and out to finish up the components. That way we'll have a handle on the door to open and close and easily get in and out. Okay, there's the handle. Pretty simple. 2 screws on the inside, and that was it. The only thing I would say is that there's a finished handle as well as finished spacers, and those go on the outside, and unfinished handle and unfinished spacers, and the unfinished go on the inside of the sauna. Finished side will be a little shinier than the unfinished. So I've got it pretty much assembled. We're gonna put the top on now, start plugging in the heaters, and then put the ozone amp and the stereo. Okay, this is it with the top on. We were very fortunate to have really tall ceilings in our basement, so it allowed us to maneuver. This is a view from the top of the sauna, and as you can see, this is where you'll plug in all the heaters to this top panel where everything actually will plug in. You've got your stereo back there, your lighting, and all of these black cords will be fed up from side panel walls up into the top panel. And if you miss any of these black cords, like I did, your top panel won't fit flush on the side walls. So you just want to make sure you feed all the wires through. It was pretty simple. And then once you've got them on the top, you'll just start to plug them in. Okay, so we got all the heaters plugged in at the top, and now we're going to install the light panel, which is that guy, and it will go right there in the corner between the 2 spaces, and then the ozone oxygen air cleaner thing goes right there on the wall. It plugs into that jack, and then the stereo will go right there. Okay, so we got the light panel installed and plugged in, and as you can see, it's working. It's got several different light choices. I haven't completely read the instructions on how to select a certain light. Unfortunately, the instructions weren't very clear as to which screws to use on the sauna, but we used the longest screws that would go through this light panel without going through the back of the sauna. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to install the air purifier next, and it goes right up there in that corner. There's the outlet. As you can see, it's going to plug right in back here. There's these self-adhesive tabs you can pull off to affix it to the wall temporarily, and then screw in the screws on either side. Okay, next is going to be the stereo. So it's going to have the 2 cords, the power and the other cord that's going to plug in the back of the stereo. And then the piece of wood that's going to kind of act as a cabinet. And the cabinet's going to screw right in there and back there. Okay, so I've got the stereo plugged in on either side, and I'm going to push this stereo system in. It's going to click and lock in place, And then we're going to screw it up to those two pieces of wood. Okay, so I've got that installed, and as you can hear, it's working. Got song music coming out of both speakers. It sounds pretty good. Okay, so all we have left to install is this top piece. That goes on top of the sauna to protect and cover all the wires. And again, fortunately for us, we've got really tall ceilings, so it's going to make it a lot easier for us to install. And there's already pilot holes, so once you got it on top, you can go ahead and screw it down and secure it. Okay, so here's another viewpoint from the top of the sauna. Again, this protective cover on the top is going to have some holes. It's got the holes here for the ventilation, so when you're inside the sauna, you can slide open a little door to let fresh air in or out. And then you have the two holes for the power cord and then one for the antenna. And then we're just going to go ahead and start screwing down everywhere. There's already pre-drilled pilot holes. Okay, this is with the top protecting cover on it. One thing I would mention is you want to leave a gap on either side before you start to set all your screws in. The first time I put this top all the way up against, and when I went to go screw in on the other side, I did not have enough room because the board is a little bit short. So just offset it, leave yourself some room so that your screws can get into some wood both on this side and on the opposite side. And then you can pull your power cord out through the top and your antenna. And then again, the vent holes are right in the back. Okay, so this is the Evansport sauna all put together and set up. Got it turned on. Just turned it on a little bit ago. But as you can see, it's nice and comfortable inside. I am about 5'9", and standing on this bottom heater panel, my head is touching the ceiling. I'm not squatting down, but it's comfortable enough. You've got your interior light, the mood lights, your ozone. You've got your control panel for setting the temperature as well as the time. Cup holders, stereo, 2 speakers, interior light, which is nice for reading. That was one of the things that I wanted to look for on a sauna. This one also has a little overhang when you walk out the door, and there's 2 lights out there as well. All in all, I would say that this is a very easy put together build. Anybody can do it. Everything, the only tool I needed was one Phillips screwdriver, and otherwise everything fastened together with those buckles on each of the corners. The only thing that I had to screw together again were these cup holders. So there's 2 screws that are holding those in. There's 2 screws on either end of this bench that I'm sitting on, one right here and one on the opposite end. And then there's a total of 4 screws holding this bottom foot heater to the base, so that it doesn't slide when you're standing on it. And then the top panel on top of the roof that hides all the cords and everything. Otherwise, those were the only screws you had to put together. Everything was just setting it in place and then snapping the buckles. You probably wouldn't have to put these screws in if you didn't want the cup holders. And I contemplated not putting the screws in on this one just for the ease of possibly cleaning the floor in case something got spilled or dropped. You know, maybe something that you don't have to put in, but I would highly recommend the 2 screws on the bench. And then, of course, you do have to put the screws, 2 screws on the light switch. That one had a sticky to hold it in place, and 2 screws there. And then the stereo was held together, 1 screw in the back and 1 at the top. And that was it. Everything else was pre-assembled and very easy to put together. So don't be intimidated by putting this thing together. It went together probably in about an hour and a half, and that was with taking a few breaks. So if you really wanted to put together a lot quicker, I think it probably could be done. So far it's heating up really nice inside. The temperature says it's about 89 degrees. It's set to go to 140, and it feels good in here. So looking forward to using this Sauna, and hopefully it'll last for many years.